Warning, this podcast contains adult language. We tried to edit as many as we could, but please be forewarned.
Marty Brown is the running back. Quarterback is Carson Beck.
Boykin might be coming.
Here's the snapback. Beck looks, throws it down the field, and it is intercepted by Indiana. Wow, what a play! And it is Jamari Sharp who comes up with a pick, and he runs into the end zone. They're going to call a penalty. But Indiana intercepted the football, and it's not going to matter. Jamari Sharp with what a play for Indiana. And Indiana is going to win this thing. Here's the snap, and this time they're just going to go down to the ground, and that will do it. And the rags to riches story for Indiana football comes to conclusion, and they are the national champions of 2026. What a football team. What a football team. And this crowd goes crazy here tonight. The confetti starts to fly. Mara Cristobal and head coach Kurt Signetti for Indiana came over, shook hands, and Indiana is going to walk out of Miami Gardens, Florida with a national championship, the first in its history, and without question, the biggest night of Indiana football's long history. What else do you say? Whichever way you see it.
Don Fisher, man, the absolute legend. 3 basketball national championships, out of football, 1 of the Arsenal. He's the guy that made me want to be a play-by-play broadcaster. He deserves this probably more than anyone that's been involved with Indiana athletics. Mike, on December 1st, 2023, when Kurt Signetti stepped off that plane, little did we know our lives would change because of that. Little did we know our lives would change because of the phone call that Scott Dolson made to him late one night, basically telling him he's the coach, not offering it to him, telling him. And not 5 years later, not 8 years later, 26 fucking months later, and Indiana's hoisting a national championship trophy in football. I cannot believe what we just watched, man.
I want to take an opportunity first and foremost for Grant to break the seal and drop the first F-bomb on this podcast, because now I won't feel bad and his grandparents can't yell at me. The Indiana Hoosiers,
It's a special occasion.
the Indiana Hoosiers are the fucking national championships of college football, Grant. Kid, this is unfucking believable, man. I can't even put this into words. Like, legitimately, that was the roller coaster of the last 4+ hours of my life. This has I've only felt this one other time as a sports fan. That was 2017 when the Eagles knocked off the Patriots, because it never felt like it was over until it actually was over. And tonight was the exact same thing. Every time you thought Indiana had seized this game, Miami came right back down the field and did something to made you say, shit.
They just wouldn't go away.
Indiana didn't flinch. And Iron Nuts Kurt Signetti going for a 4th down twice on that drive. And Charlie Becker, just those unbelievable back shoulder throws that he manages to reel in. And an already legendary player, let's face it, Fernando Mendoza was already sealed his fate in Bloomington. But that touchdown run, that bulldozer run, running through that defense, getting absolutely destroyed, but crossing that goal line. This is like Grant. This is you're going to tell your grandkids level shit that we just watched tonight. Unfreaking believable. The Indiana Hoosiers are the football national champions.
It starts to beg the question here now. Was that touchdown run from Fernando Mendoza bigger than the Keith Smart shot in 1987?
I didn't think there was ever going to be competition for the shot in Indiana athletic lore, but I don't know if it's bigger, but it's definitely the neighboring house. It's at the top of the totem pole. I mean, it's Indiana football's version of the shot for certain, but I mean that broke the seal. And no offense to the soccer program, I love everything those guys have done. Indiana's still known for their soccer program, but that broke almost 4 decades of futility of national relevance, national championship relevance for Indiana athletics. And we've talked about the impact that this being a football school has had on Indiana and what you've seen out of Indiana over the years, but to get that moment and to seal this, because you never know. College football is such a weird sport. You get there, you better effing win it because you don't know what's going to happen the next year. You could lose your quarterback could catch his thumb in a face mask and tear a ligament, and you're going with a backup, and you're losing 3 games next year, or something weird always can happen in a college football season. So when you get there and you have the opportunity to bring one home, you have to do it. And Indiana just effing did it, Grant. They won it, and they had to earn every freaking bit of it because they played. If that's only the 10th best team in the country, then it was a hell of a year for college football because that team has so many guys we're going to watch play football on Sundays over the next 15, 20 years. Easily, you want to talk about the SEC gauntlet? Just look at what Indiana just ran through. They went through the all-time greatest program in the history of college football. They went through Oregon, the trendiest college football program of the last 2 decades. And then tonight, they knocked off the freaking. There's been not one but 2 ESPN documentaries about Miami football and how dominant it is. 5 national titles. And they went and knocked them off in an absolute grinder. What a game. What a night. Just being a fan. Go play your ABBA as loud as you can. Annoy your neighbor. 9 months from now, there's going to be so many damn kids in the state of Indiana named Fernando, Charlie, whatever. But, dude, just wow. Just wow, man.
I've never known Mike Hutsell to be lost for words.
Well, you've never seen Indiana football win a national championship either.
That's my point.
First thing I text my dad, who I've lived through this with my entire life, is just they did it. Not in all caps, just they did it, period. His response was unbelievable. And then another one saying, we've come a long way from that South Carolina State game in 2011. I've talked about it multiple times on here. I was there 2011. They beat South Carolina State. It was the only game they won that year. Just the crap, and we've talked about it all season long, the crap that we've endured with this team and this program our entire lives, it almost makes it all worth it. Right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm at a loss for words. I've given up on the basketball national championship. We may never see that in our lives. And if you were to ask me, and I've said this my entire life, would I rather see a football national championship or a basketball national championship? I'd easily tell you football. Makes the most money. People watch it more. There's more to it. And I love basketball. I love college basketball, but just this is unlike anything I've ever felt. When I was a kid growing up, my dad was a high school basketball coach. He was an assistant coach at the school I graduated at, and he was there for 20 years. And as a kid, you were always around the team and always around the guys and looked up to them, and they were your heroes. And we were fortunate enough one year to go all the way and win the state championship. And that's a feeling I'll never forget. This is the closest I felt to that day, March 24th, 2018, than I've ever felt here at 11:50 on Monday, January the 19th, 2026. I think this is better, because you were there for all of this. And what's so ironic about all this, guys, is that we didn't ask for this when the guy got here. When Curt Cignetti stepped off that plane and then took the microphone at the basketball game his first day on campus, we never asked for this. The only thing we were asking for was to be Iowa and go 8-4 every year, sneak in a 10-2 season, maybe make the playoff. That's all we asked for. We didn't ask for a national championship, an undefeated national championship. This really, again, we talked about after the Big Ten championship. This is another one of those where you go out with dad or grandpa at the graveside and crack open a beer, man. That's probably what I'll do when we get off this podcast. I'm going to go find some liquor. And I don't drink. So this is a really, really special occasion.
Grant, if you don't drink, this is definitely the night to do it.
Yep. And I hope I'm at a loss for words. I can't believe what I'm watching. When they hoisted that trophy, I seriously thought I was about to wake up from a dream.
Great. You got your shirt ordered yet?
Not yet. I am first thing in the morning jumping in the car, and we'll be in Bloomington tomorrow.
I've already got the order in, so got the confirmation email. Well,
good.
I like a lot of things that you just said there. You talk about what a year to decide to do dry January for me. Well, I don't know where that came from.
That's a bad move, man.
I've never been one being accused of making great life choices. So I would love right now, and I know there's no way to get, but I would love to get Dave Chanley on this call. The guy that we had on the last podcast, who's there in Miami. I can't expect him to jump in here, but I know for a guy like Dave who, first of all, he has personal ties to, he has so many ties to the program and, being a student manager and he's been to so many games through the years. And I mean, that's a guy that has put miles on his car to go watch this program over years and years of football. And you think about guys like that, and, we all have a family member that this meant a lot more. Indiana football meant something to them for no good reason, because this program has given
100%.
people no good reason, but it was like you were in a club. You were in a very select club, and it was not fun to be a part of. And a lot of times you felt anger towards the person that made you a part of this club. But at the same time, you lived your whole life hoping for a night like tonight because you believed, and for no reason other than just a whim and a prayer, that something like this could happen. And finally, they got it right, and they made it happen. And I'm telling you, Greg, I know you root for a certain program that none of us like to talk about, but if this ever happens for you in basketball, man, I hope you feel half as good as Grant and I do right now about this football national championship, because this is just absolutely surreal to sit and watch this.
I can imagine.
I think it's one
But
of those
yours kind of
things.
came from out of nowhere. Ours just kind of been building for a while. So, like since 1981, for example.
And and for you, Greg, it's going to happen. I mean, that will happen one day. And
Grant,
you know,
I know we're
you
emotional.
think about
I
all
know
the
we're emotional, right? Grant, we're emotional right now. Let's not talk too crazy though. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I just
Some things you can't take back, Grant.
I'm glad you stopped me.
Especially if it's recorded.
I guess one of my favorite parts about this season, to be honest with you, has been doing these reactions, or the previews and the reactions. You know, you try and, I'm again play-by-play guy. I've done games. You do prep, you prepare for these podcasts, preview. Maybe you don't use any of your notes, but you do prepare. I put stats together every week before every game. Um, you know, and for us to do these reaction podcasts have been really fun. Greg, I'd like to find a way, and maybe you know how to do it, and you'll have to show me, or you could do it. I don't care. To go back and make a playlist of every one of our reaction podcasts every game this year. I'd like to go and listen to it. And I mean, every game this year, it felt like we always came away saying that they did something that was more unbelievable this week than the unbelievable thing was last week. And for us to walk away from the Old Dominion game back in August and say, God, like I felt like we dominated that game and we only won 27-14, you know? Um, we've come such a long way, and I don't think there's a fan base maybe since the Chicago Cubs in 2016 that deserves this more than Indiana fans do, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I'm with you, Grant, and I tell you what, of all seasons for me to jump on and start doing a regular IU football podcast, and I can't thank you and Greg enough for getting me involved in this from the start of the year on, because like you said, we can go back and document this season and just listen to how we feel and our opinions on this team and how they grow, because let's remember, we were at one point in the season, we were kind of hoping, well, maybe if we can get through this Iowa Oregon stretch 1-1, we can maybe secure our playoff hopes there. And then I mean, how many times in the Iowa game did we like, well, shit, this season sucks? And then there was the Penn State thing. It's been such a roller coaster. And for all the crap that Indiana has had to listen to because they dropped the Louisville game and they didn't play a daunting non-conference schedule. Well, you know what? At the end of the year, they went out, they won a road game in arguably one of the toughest environments in the Big Ten in Iowa. They went to Oregon, one of the great college football programs of all time. They won there. They went to Penn State and won for the first time in the history of the program. You could say what you want about Penn State this year, and a lot of people have, and they weren't good. But you did something that you've never done as a program before in winning that game. And then the way that you won that game, to be arguably the play and the game of the year in college football. Then you come back, and since the end of the season, you blow out your arch rival again. You absolutely embarrass them. And then in the postseason, You play the impenetrable Ohio State defense with 7 pro players who legitimately will be pros, probably 4 first-round picks on that team maybe. You beat them. Then you come out and you get the bugaboo of you're the only team in the history of the 12-team playoff now who's won a game with a bye. And to do that, you had to beat freaking Alabama. Then you go to Oregon, and well, you're never going to beat Oregon twice in a season. You put 56 or whatever it was on them. And then tonight, the freaking U. The program of my youth was Miami. We talked about it in the preview pod. To beat Miami, to me, from if you're a Gen X kind of guy like I am, that means a little bit more because you've seen the 2001 Hurricanes that had legitimately, you can look it up, 15 first-round NFL draft picks were on that team in 2001. You beat Miami with freaking Ray Lewis and Michael Irvin on the sideline. Makes it even that much freaking better to Michael Irvin to beat that guy because he's a fucking cowboy. God damn it. I hate that guy. So this season, you can't write a better script. You could not have scripted a better story than this. The weird quarterback that nobody really ever wanted, who went to Cal and made a kind of a name for himself, but then becomes the number 1 NFL draft pick, Heisman winner. The coach nobody wanted. All these JMU guys who come up, and you saw tonight Pons just making play after play after play, and Mikal Kamara, who people kind of forgot about this year because he didn't have the dominant season, but the biggest play of the night arguably is his punt block. And like I said, if you were to ask Chat GPT or whatever, script the perfect college football season, it couldn't come up with anything like this, I don't think. And what a story, what a team, and just what a moment that as a sports fan, none of us will ever forget.
How soon can we start asking the question of this is the greatest team of all time?
Right now.
Because it's a legitimate question.
It has become a legitimate question. In terms of pros, and Grant and I can talk about this now. There's 15 Indiana players projected by ESPN to be picked off of this team in the NFL draft, which is absurd for one team. Absolutely
Almost none
absurd.
of them high.
I mean, only one, maybe two. No, one will be a day 1 pick. Possibly only 2 of them will be day 2 picks. But I guarantee that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, you're going to be hearing an awful lot of Hoosiers called. And
100%.
I don't think Georgia's ever had 15 in one draft. I don't think Miami's ever had 15 in one draft. Bama. I mean, it's an absurd number. And if that actually happens and that comes true, what else can Curt Cignetti do to sell his program to people? He doesn't have to at that point, right?
I don't think so. I mean, think about what this really does for recruiting. Like, I mean, obviously that's a given. Like, you win the national championship, you're already having one of your best portal seasons prior to this, and the guys you were getting out of the portal. This already opens up more. Now in the next week, you're going to see probably a lot of guys coming that are going to announce they're coming back. Hopefully, like, now I doubt this, but hopefully, like, Pons could come back. Omar Cooper could come back. Charlie Becker will probably be back. Actually, I know he'll be back. And it kind of just hit me now that, like, I'm going to miss watching these guys. Like, when they trot Josh Hoover out there, on that first drive of the game against North Texas. And again, you're going to be so used because you've now been spent the whole offseason rewatching this season multiple times, rewatching this national championship. When they try Josh Hoover out there for the first time next year against North Texas, you're going to be like, dang, like, shit, this ain't Fernando, you know, it's a little bit different. You know, obviously not thinking about next season. You want to enjoy this one, but I just can't believe what we're seeing right now. I never want this feeling to go away.
I hear you, man. I hear every bit of it. You know, we can talk more about who's going, who's coming in. You know, obviously that's going to be off-season discussion, but as far as the game itself tonight, Grant, I mean, it's hard to really just sit and break down this game play by play. So, but for just how on a concern level, I know we joke about your "it's over" text, and you sent it very early, which we all appreciate. But were you like me? I was convinced whoever had the ball last was going to win. And when Indiana had that false start on the 2nd and 1 and couldn't convert the first down and gave the ball back to Miami, how concerned are you about Indiana losing at that point in time?
Not when he got the false start. Not when he got the false start, because I still kind of thought that they could get the first down. You know, a part of me thought they would still get a first down there, but when we kicked a field goal to go up 6, like, okay, like we're up 6, but even though they get the ball back, you kind of wish you were only up 7. Obviously, you wish you were up more. You wish you were up like 10, but you kind of wish you're up 7 because you're thinking, well, if they score a touchdown, the worst they can do is tie it. The moment for me was when he threw the deep ball on the last play of the game that got intercepted. We are going to see so many edits in our lifetime of Carson Beck dropping back to throw that ball with the music from the movie Hoosiers in it. And Jamari Sharp's going to come in and pick that thing off for the rest of our lives. And you're going to hear the kind of the beat on that song drop. And then the celebration's going to start. We're going to see that video for the rest of our lives. That's where I got concerned. Because I mean, think about it. If he doesn't jump in front of that ball, he's catching that ball and scoring a touchdown. And we're sitting here stunned and distraught. I mean, that's how close that was. So, I was concerned because they just wouldn't go away. That's the thing. They just would not go away. You just kind of, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, okay, we're going to pull away here. We just got to pull away. We just got to get a stop. And just, they would not go away, man.
How concerned were you guys when Fernando Mendoza got the cheap shot and then quite didn't look like himself early on?
Oh, I was convinced that hit did something, because the play calling coming out and the drive after that really concerned me because they were very conservative. They didn't look to throw the ball. And I thought, something's not right. The guy was literally spitting up blood. So, I mean, clearly he took a shot, and the fact that wasn't even reviewed for targeting, you know, we can live with it now because Indiana won, but Christ, how did that not even get a review? But, I was convinced that they were going to have to go to a much more conservative game plan, coming out of that hit, because it looked to me like something was off, but they clearly didn't, because they're running fourth down QB draw near the goal line, and he's getting absolutely bulldozed as he's diving across the goal line for that touchdown. So, it was really, my friend texted me, it was 10-0. He's like, "You guys are looking good. I feel really good." I was like, "I have 4 decades of evidence I would like to present to you to tell me to tell you to just shut up right now."
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So yeah, a lot of moments had me concerned in that game when they finally the Mark Fletcher run after the way they just absolutely dominated the line of scrimmage in the first half. Them finally figuring out how to get Malachi Toney involved, and my God, how freaking good is that kid? We got 2 more years. You're gonna have to watch him, and you're gonna have to watch that kid for 2 more years in college football. I hope people enjoy it because that is an absolutely electric guy to watch. But there was a lot of moments in that game where I was convinced, oh my God, it's not going to happen. And I can't say enough about Miami. They lost 2 games this year. I don't know how. The 2 teams that beat them were not teams that should have beaten them. But hats off to them. It was a hell of a game. That was a hell of a fight. It was like they said many times in the broadcast. That was just 2 boxers just landing haymakers on each other. Body blows, and then it's the absolute bombs coming in. So that was so much fun to watch as a fan, and I can say that now because my team came out on top.
Hey guys, let's talk about it again on Thursday.
Can't
We
wait.
can talk about it Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We could talk about it for the
Every
rest of
day
our
for the rest of
I was gonna say we got a long time to talk about it. And where do you know what we're not talking about?
Can't wait.
You know what we're not talking about? That basketball program.
But we will be.
Maybe.
Maybe. We might just talk about the football team for the rest of
Yeah,
the year.
we'll do a brief intro. Indiana plays Purdue tonight at Assembly Hall. And by the way, I don't know if you heard or not, but a couple of weeks ago, Indiana football knocked off Miami in Miami for the national title.
I think that's how it's going to go. All right. One more time, guys. The Indiana Hoosiers are your college football national champions.
Grant,
Never
go
thought I'd
order
hear
your
the
shirt,
words.
man.
I'm gonna have to.
You guys better have words by Thursday.
We will.